And as we've talked about many times before, don't put grease down the sink. Don't put grease down the sink. And we've talked about it multiple times, and my brain just wasn't present. And I started pouring my grease down the sink, which, for those of you who don't know, the reason you don't pour grease down the sink is that it will clog your pipes way down below. And then he and I got into a conversation about, like, hey, we've talked about this multiple times. What's going on? So I want to talk to you about ADHD and what is going on when you forget something that you think you should know or you remember. So ADHD is a trouble with working memory. Basically, if you think of it like a computer, you have all this storage in the back of your brain, but working memory is like if you pull up a Word doc and the Word doc comes up and that's what you're working on at this time. People with ADHD have less access to, like, if a typical person has a full page of information on that Word doc, we have a sentence or two, or, like a picture, like in this and that, right? Like we have a different working memory than our peers. And so we can be having conversations and listening, but not really applying the information. I see this with my daughter all the time, right? So like, I'll tell my daughter things 100 times and I'll feel like, why does she not get it? And it's because when you have ADHD, you typically need to have skills or strategies to help you either apply the information you're listening to or to limit how much working memory you need to make it work. And so when we talked about it afterwards, we came up with, I'm going to write down, like these are the things that don't go down the sink so that when my working memory is low or shot, I have the ability to stop, look at the sign, remember, okay, these are the things we don't put down the sink. Because if you think of your working memory as sometimes higher and sometimes lower, so sometimes you have better working memory in the morning, sometimes your better time is the afternoon. Some people's better working memory for ADHD is at night, and that's why you've got some of those night owls that are like, I can do anything right now in the middle of the night. Everybody's different for when their working memory is a little bit better, but for me, at the end of the day, my working memory is shot. I've already done a lot. I've worked with people's problems and clients, and I don't have that working memory to remember that thing that, like, oh, don't put grease in the sink. And that doesn't make me stupid. It doesn't make me not understand. What it is that we just have a limited working memory. And so skills like this are important for you to use for yourself when you struggle with ADHD, because it is like while there's cool parts of ADHD, there are real struggle parts to ADHD. And it helps in your relationship to talk openly about your working memory and when you have better times to listen and be present and when you don't. But then the third thing is for ADHD, there is a difference between putting it out there, like listening, and then applying the information that we're getting. And so usually with ADHD, we do need a second step, whether it's writing something down in the moment or doing something right away, whether it's putting signs up in visual locations, because we're out of sight, out of mind people, or in sight, in mind people too. So putting things up in visual locations where you're doing things that are context dependent helps us to remember what we're doing and helps us to use less of our working memory. So please, if you're interested in getting my help, please submit a contact form at my website, therapistInSt.Louis.com. You can even just sign up for a newsletter. So I put out a monthly newsletter on different information and skills. Please like and subscribe, submit any comments below, and if you're still interested, I do have my event, Dinner with a Sex Therapist, coming up. That is February 15th. You can purchase tickets at Dinner with a Sex Therapist on eventbrite.com. Thank you for listening.